Good morning, YouTube. So here we are in lovely New England where it's snowing. All of school was canceled today for all my kids, so I'm playing a little daddy daycare, and I'm going to use this opportunity to build my CRX wiring harness. I brought all the stuff that I need to do it up here in my house, and I'm going to just do it on my kitchen counter, lay out some towels, and kind of hybrid a few different wiring harnesses into one, like OBD2 stuff into my OBD0 harness. So that probably is a little strange. People are like, why are you doing that? But there are reasons, and we'll go through that as the video goes on. So let's get started. So this first harness we're looking at here is a swapped harness from a 90 or 91, I think, Civic hatchback DX that had a B series engine in with VTEC, and this is like the added wire for VTEC, or the added few wires for VTEC, or maybe there was an O2 sensor wire added. There should have been, but I don't remember taking one out. Anyways, I removed this harness from a running car, and I originally tried to mimic this harness, and then realizing that this connector was completely different than the connector I had on the SI car, and then on this side, because an SI 88 to 91 SI EF Civic or CRX has an additional plug on this side, and I'll show you that in just a moment with the correct harness. So the only real reason I brought this harness up is to mimic the length of wires, because I know this wraps around a B series nicely. So yeah, I'm just going to use this as reference, and I'm not going to use any part of this harness at all because it's a complete harness for a DX, dual point to multi-point swap. So that makes that valuable. Somebody's already done the Angel Fire setup, and it's been converted to OBD1. Well, OBD1 in some spots, OBD2 in the others. So, but at any rate, these are OBD1 injector wiring and OBD1 distributor wiring. Yeah. Okay, and the next harness we have is the 88 CRX SI harness, and as I was saying before, this plug you do not find on the DX harness. This is the plug that indicates that this harness is already a multi-port harness, and you do not have to do the conversion as far as the rewire. However, this harness has OBD0 fuel injector connectors, as well as the resistor box still attached. Told that thing still has a value of some kind with these wires, so I'm going to try not to destroy any of this, keep it all together, and I'm going to actually hybrid in this, I want to say 99 or 2000 OBD2 fuel injector harness for a couple of different reasons. I got one of the injectors hanging off there that I intend to use. It's got the block off, the correct one, so I don't end up butchering this thing. So that's one of the main reasons. The other is going to an OBD2 injector is no different than going to an OBD1 injector, and I happen to have an abundance of larger OBD2 injectors. This is just going in a regular B18B setup for now. These are EP3 injectors, and they're actually pretty close to they're a little over the B18B setup, but I do have a chipped computer, so I'd like to run a little bit bigger injector anyway. I believe the factory injectors are like a 240, and those things are like a 375 or a 380. They're also really close to the Prelude H22 injectors that are one over the other, 375 or 380. So the EP3 injectors are 375 or 380. The H22 injectors are near the same. And take the OBD2 plug, non-resistor style. That's really the only important thing. Is the OBD0 injectors, you have to run this resistor box. with OBD1 or 2 injectors, you get rid of this guy and you simply connect all that wiring all together. It's all in a loop, all goes to one spot in the ECU, A15 I want to say. At any rate, that's the plan for today. I'm gonna make this mess look a lot more like that organized mess. One more thing I wanted to mention, you can sort of tell when you already have a multi-point harness, when it's got these green and blue or whatever tapes on it. The regular harnesses are just all wrapped in black, the dual point. So from my experience so far, all the multi-point harnesses I run into has got this green stuff throughout the harness, and it indicates that it's already got the 4 injectors and it's already set up for that wiring. So we got all these wiring harnesses laid out, and I'm just gonna take these and cut this one blue wire away from this section of harness. Now, I can just lay this out and show you. I got all these little zip ties keeping it together. It's the wire loom with it off there, but this is how it would be laid out on the car. These would be the 4 fuel injectors here, resistor box on the fender, and this one blue and yellow wire, blue and white, is the feed to the resistor box. So quite literally, that is the only wire that I'm going to connect back to this harness from, let's call it this harness. I'm almost laid out perfect, because it has the resistor box, the 4 injector wires, and into that injector box, resistor box will come this with the very same one blue wire. It'll be probably yellow or whatever, and connect that wire back to this harness, get it all wrapped back up in tape. We'll be all hybrided OBD0 to OBD2. Now, real quick, chasing these wires back down, there was one more small piece of tape that tapped into this green wire that I want to say is for injector number 2, maybe it's 3. Anyways, I believe this is for like the O2 sensor, so we've got to undo that Y there and make a direct connection, and we'll be doing O2 sensor stuff later. But the OBD2 car that this was taken from, that was factory, and you can just see this is an O2 sensor wire here that the harness is spliced into. So we've got to simplify this and just get all the strands of wire from each injector individual. And I thought I had that done, but this is keeping that from being a true to be able to get all the way up to the box. So let me just correct that. Turns out that this green wire, actually, that had the T on it, started with the T, but there was nothing on this side. It was underneath this tape. So I just sort of tugged it through, separated it. There was a red and yellow wire that mirrored that same sort of deal, went all the way to this O2 sensor plug. Once I got rid of that, this is what we ended up with. We've got 4 wires over here. That's where the O2 sensor plug was, and there was obviously a couple already just kind of hanging out. I don't remember why that was cut like that, but at any rate, those are the 4 injector wires that you need, 1, 2, 3, and 4. On the injector, every injector has 2 wires, of course. The opposite side, let's call it negative side, it's not really positive or negative, but has these 4 wires are all the very same color. And that is because they all go into these resistor block off, which just connects them all together. And inside here, there's a metal ring that literally connects everything together. And then this will be my 5th wire right here, because the resistor block off and these all sit at the left front shock tower, just like this guy used to do. So you can see there, that's that very same little loop that I'm running there. The original 1 wire that I had cut can be any one of these 3 or all 3 if you want. And there you have it. That will go in place of that. See how that looks a lot more similar now? So here we have it all wrapped up in tape. Got the 4 injector wires here, resistor block off here, and then these are the 5 wires, 4 injector plus the resistor loop, basically this thing here, that go to the other side of this plug in the car. Unfortunately, somebody cut off the other side of that plug in the car, so I'm gonna find 2 6-wire connectors that fit each other, and I'm just gonna wire one side to this and wire the other side to the car. The 6th wire is this blue and, I guess I gotta really look closely. Blue and white, blue and yellow, I still can't tell. Blue and yellow, I guess. That comes from that 6th wire on the car. So I don't even need to know what that is. By default, it's the wire that connects to this guy. So once I get this harness on the car, the remaining wire will be connected to this that I put a little flag on. And that's it. It's almost like 2 separate wiring harnesses all together. I can get this thing back in tape, remove all these little blue zip ties. Were very, very helpful in this scenario. And then keep on keeping on. So here we are, guys, and this is the other side of that harness. And I've started separating what sensors are individually wired and that I want long for 2 reasons. I haven't talked much about the engine in the CRX because the engine in the CRX is temporary. The CRX engine currently is a B18B from like a, I want to say a 95 Integra, 96, somewhere in there. And it's just a hodgepodge of OBD 1 and 2 stuff to get the car running and rolling and moving down the road while the other possible engine is being built. And that's where I'm up in the air, and that's how come I'm keeping these wires extended and how come I'm already going to OBD2, because I'm likely going to, well, I have 2 choices. I have a B20 that is has huge compression pistons, and I'm waiting for VTEC parts for there's a B16 head to go on that motor. So that's one possibility. The hold up on that is I don't have an ECU to run that car, and to do a B20 the correct way, you're talking, you know, Honda S300 and kind of a lot of money in computer stuff. And I'm on a super tight budget, like per usual. So the other possibility is H22. I'm getting to have an abundance of stuff for that, and the wiring harness, with the exception of the charge harness, has to be extended, is basically the same sensors, so to speak. A chip P28 you can toss in, you can just buy for like 250 bucks online, right, even through HA Motorsports. That's where I got my last computer. And it'll be chipped, you know, a P28 that's already chipped for an H22 tune. If you just want to run a factory H22 injectors, and you know, that's like 200 horsepower. So a couple of different ideas, and I do have that H22 bare block that I can chop up. All of the, whether you use a plate system or whether you use a plateless H2B setup, requires a lot of trimming on the block. So I sort of have the block that's perfect for that because the block's completely empty right now. I do have a balanced shaft delete kit for that same engine block, and I might just kind of do all that to that block while it's apart, and then maybe it someday sees the CRX. So yeah, that's why I'm going extra long on the wires, and it's not really for wire tuck. I don't really care about that kind of stuff. If you see the wires, you see the wires. Car runs somehow, right? So it's more for the accessibility for engine swaps in the future, knowing that the engine that's in it is basically temporary, and just kind of for now, to get the car running and driving up and down the road and just get to enjoy it a little bit. All right, I got all these electrical tape off all these little blue bullet deals here, Johnny Jumper dealies. I despise these things, and here in New England, salt and whatever gets inside of there, and it just separates them. They corrode. They cause nothing but problems. This doesn't look like it was done that long ago. This is the OBD0 harness that somebody's already converted to OBD1 distributor. The colors all match up with the exception of, I want to say, these two here. So yeah, this should work fine. It looks right to me, but I am gonna get rid of all of those, and what I'm gonna do is, you know, pretty basic heat shrink, get that back corrected. And yeah, no, the harness is already kind of butchered. So to anybody that was like, oh geez, you know, you're cutting here, you're cutting there, you cut this blue wire, it was already a butchered harness. I'm more like working with what I got, and you know, setting it up for the all the other swaps. Here we are with the wires all heat shrinked back together, and I actually added another level of heat shrink down here that I'm going to slide up. I'm going to let that heat shrink over these as pairs, and then tape them all up like the rest of this harness. This thing is just about ready to go back in the car.
As I'm looking under the door, I'm looking at the shops, I'm looking at the rear end.
We got the harness all together now, and as you can see, I added that blue wire. It's about the appropriate length compared to the DX converted harness. Got the 4 new OBD2 injector plugs. Got the OBD1 distributor harness here, all nice and heat shrinked and taped up. And I've got all of the mass airflow, throttle position sensor, all that stuff separated so it can be ran correctly. I do still have to change this plug, or I have to run an older alternator. The alternator that's on the engine currently runs this plug. That's an OBD2 plug. I have a spare plug downstairs that I just didn't bring up. So I do have to still do a tiny bit of pigtail connecting there. That's why that wire is still exposed. And then same up here, with the addition of that blue and yellow wire, I now have all 4 injector wires, the blue and yellow, and the yellow black. And that's exactly the same colors that I have under the hood on the driver strut tower, where someone cut the connection. But those are the color wires, so I should be able to just match color for color, as long as I plug the injectors in, of course, in the right order. And I've already looked that up a dozen times or so. Yeah, so anyways, ready to put in the car. Not sure if I'll get that done today or not. But if not, stay tuned. Likely that'll go in tomorrow. And then it's just a matter of plumbing a couple of fuel lines to a temporary pump tank. And yeah, car should fire, in theory. It came out of the engine, transmission came out of the running car that harness came from, running DX91 Civic hatch that I still have in pieces out back. So here we are down at the car, just so I can quickly bring the harness down. This is an 88, you can tell it's the older corner lenses, 88 CRX SI model. Got the factory Recaro seats in really good shape in there. Just work your way to the back here. I do have that piece of trim, it's on my toolbox. Those 2 letters are the reason why I didn't have to do that dual point to multi-point conversion, why the first harness didn't really help me that much. At any rate, Sparco steering wheel action. Let's just see under the hood. So what we've got here is a LS motor, or B18B. I don't know if you can see that there in this light. B18B, pretty standard, regular, I think 140 or 45 or so horsepower. So still a pretty big upgrade for a CRX engine. It was a single cam. But mostly just to get this car going. I got this engine in a running DX hatch and thought I was just gonna put the whole thing in there, wire and harness and all, and then realized the differences. So there's that extra plug that the SI cars have, and here's the other side of the harness that I was talking about with the 6 cut wires. So I don't have a plug for that, and that's what's going to hold me up today, is I don't have a way to finish this end here unless I just literally hardwire it to that guy. And I guess if I could do that, I mean, I could do that and then just cut it when I'm done. Seems kind of on the stupid side. Anyways, that's the car. This car hasn't made a lot of, that's Manson. Hey, Handsome Manson, what are you doing, pal? This car hasn't made a lot of videos, but it's going to be making a lot more on the channel as it becomes a runner driver. There's a lot of bugs to work out. The car has been sitting, guys, since, let me just show you the inspection sticker in the window from the last time this thing was on the road. So there you go. It was like in a barn in New England. To find a CRX this nice, that's kind of how you got to find them. So that's all the time I've got today, folks, for the CRX. I got to get back upstairs to the babes. Daddy daycare is still going, of course. Don't forget to click like and subscribe if you like the video. Drop me comments. Always like to read the comments. People who have ideas or even opinions. I got pretty thick skin, no big deal. Yeah, and you guys all have a nice evening, and we'll see you tomorrow.